The 2014 cycling season is underway. The top teams in the world are in Australia for the annual season opener, the Tour Down Under, where the first wheels turned in Adelaide on Sunday morning. The UCI World Tour starts here. The traditional prelude to the six-stage tour is the People's Classic, a fast circuit race around the city centre that gets the sprinters warmed up for what is always a tour with plenty of opportunities for them. Welcome along to highlights of this opening criterium race at the Tour Down Under. 25 laps of Adelaide city centre, a fast and furious start to this season's cycling coverage on Sky Sports. Sky's Richie Porte is just one of the top riders starting their year's racing in Australia. This is a home race for him, of course. Unsurprisingly, Aussies are very well represented. Former Tour de France winner Cadel Evans is there, as is Simon Gerrans, a two-time winner of the Tour Down Under, and sprinter Matt Goss. A strong Australian contingent, but also some big-name and big-thighed Europeans, none bigger than Andre Greipel. Britain's Team Sky have done well in this crit in the past. They won it the first time it was held back in 2010, and Edvald Boasson-Hagen was second 2 years ago. They've brought another strong squad to Adelaide this year. Richie Porte will get terrific support from Geraint Thomas, who was third in the TDU last year, the best ever finish by a Brit, and 5 other top men, including another Australian, Chris Sutton, and Irishman Philip Dignan, who makes his Team Sky debut. The 6 days of the Tour Down Under on Sky Sports begins with 2 hours of live coverage of Stage 1 in the early hours of Tuesday morning. We'll bring you the action every day right through to the final stage back in Adelaide city centre next Sunday morning. The criterium is a 50-kilometre circuit race, 25 laps of 2 kilometres around Adelaide city centre. It's absolutely flat, it's short, it's mostly long curves apart from the odd tight left-hander, so it'll be very, very fast. One for the sprinters, obviously. The People's Classic is an evening race which makes the heat a bit more bearable. 29 degrees and sunny, better than the 40-plus temperatures that Adelaide has endured in recent weeks. Right then, let's get down to sunny Adelaide. Paul Sherwin and Phil Liggett are your race commentators.
Premier of South Australia, Jay Weatherall, sends them on their way. An event which started 16 years ago and has become the darling of the South Australian people. And I think we'll see them slip into top gear pretty quickly here, Paul. It is a twisty circuit, and this is the first chance we'll all get to see it together around this first opening lap. But I know these boys are going to turn on the style tonight.
Yes, they certainly will. For many of the sprinters, it's a dress rehearsal for the flatter stages of the Santos Tour Down Under. They'll want to see whether or not they've got their lead-out trains sorted out. They want to make sure they've got their tactics sorted out for the big sprints once we go further down the week of racing. And as I said earlier, Phil, it's very, very important for all of the sprinters to get that first victory under the belt. It gives the team a little bit of confidence going into the season.
So we started on Victoria Drive. We've curved slightly left, still on the drive, heading into Frome Road now. As we head round up towards the Adelaide Zoo, then we'll cross the River Torrens as we return on the other side of the river down War Memorial Drive. And Francis Desjeux working pretty hard at the moment, and then we'll swing round to the side of King William Road before we come back through to the finishing straight. And not surprisingly, these boys have got straight in. It's a beautiful evening here. It is just on 30 degrees Celsius. That is about 85 degrees Fahrenheit for our viewers in the United States, and around some parts of the world where Fahrenheit's still the way to go. And a perfect evening for racing, really, just slight winds.
Ideal. There was a little bit of wind in the early part of the day, but that seems to have disappeared now, just enough to cool the riders down on a course which I expect them to run off at a good average speed of close to 50 kilometres an hour. There's the River Torrens just over to the right-hand side. The riders cross it on 2 occasions. These are the 2 left-hand bends that they will face up to in the last part of the race when they come to charge into the finishing straight. And there will be, I think, Phil, a great big battle to get the sprinters into those final 2 two left-hand bends inside of the first 2 or 3 positions if they are dreaming of winning this race this afternoon.
Jeffrey Soup is on the front at the moment for Française de Jeu, or FDJ as the team prefers to be called. The French team over the years produced some very, very big winners around the world. He's going to bring them around towards the end of lap number 1.
They ran that off very quickly indeed. There was no going around the circuit in a neutralised manner for the first lap of the course, and as you can see, a lot of riders up to the front. Jens Voigt went across the line in 3rd place, so being very attentive at the front end of the main field. As you can see, the rider from FDJ, he's not got that much of an advantage. And Jens Voigt closing it all down there in the new colours of Team Trek Racing Team.
Yes, we're going to see 1 or 2 new colours now for the aficionados of world cycling. You'll see quite a few new designs this year. The Trek Factory team is the old Radio Shack squad, if you like. Many of the same riders still on that squad. Jens Voigt pumping away up there too. You'll never keep this man down and out of our picture. At 42 years of age, he's the driving force on the team. He's helping the youngsters on that team develop. And although he'll say goodbye to world-class racing at the end of this year, I can't ever believe we'll say goodbye to Jens Voigt.
No, I'm sure Jens Voigt will be around for a while to come, and he's got an awful lot of experience to hand down to the younger riders on his squad. In the black jersey of Team Sky, close to the front there, Richie Porte, the man who later on in the season will come up against Cadel Evans, who's chosen to aim for the Giro d'Italia this year.
Could be Wesley Salzberger, who's just got himself onto the front here now as he just checks over. They're being marked out by Sky. Because surprisingly, some of the big names have come right to the fore here. Cadel Evans is up amongst it, also in the front. Drepak, I think we expected this. I've got a number of riders up here because they feel with Jonathan Cantwell in the Australian Criterium Championship just over a week ago. They had it all set up and they entered the last lap and the whole team crashed. Didn't go down too well with Henk Vogel, the team manager, but they made a mistake, a touch of wheels, and left the door open for everybody else.
Russian team as well in the red and white jersey. A little bit of a similarity in the colours between the Russian Katusha squad and Drepak. They
Very similar, aren't they?
2 teams all looking to try and keep the pace nice and high. I think a lot of the big names, Phil, are riding close to the front because this is a completely different circuit to the circuit we've had over the past number of years here, and the riders are trying to get to know how to handle these corners at speed, because it's fine riding these corners and riding this circuit during your warm-up, but it's a completely different way that you go into the corners when you're hitting these corners at race speed.
Well, the Katusha team has never been in the Santos Tour Down Under before. The Russian squad are here, and all of their riders are Russian except one. That's Marko Haller of Austria. The rider swinging off there is Pavel Kochetkov, one of the newcomers on the team. All change again at the front. Uni SA here. This is the national team. Only one team other than the Pro Tour teams allowed in the World Tour event, and it can be the national team of the country. So the Uni SA squad comprised of some very good professionals riding for their country. We're on the lap 5 shortly, which will be the Skoda sprint lap. That little group as the peloton fans out, waiting for the next move. Nathan Huss was the rider trying to push on there for Garmin Sharp. Slightly different team colours this year. You'll find the back is totally different to the front of the jersey. But hopefully the only people who will see the back of the jersey are the riders in the peloton.
Well, what's nice about the new Garmin Sharp jersey, it's got the panda on the back of it as well, for the WWF sign, a worldwide fund for nature. So they're promoting that as well. As we can see, the 3-man group, but with the main field spread right out across the road. I don't think they're showing too much concern at the moment for that breakaway group, and once it starts to get dangerous and builds up to 20 or 30 seconds, you'll see the acceleration. There's the sprint starting.
Yes, and taking up the front of the running here is Nathan Haas, who did an awful lot of work, but he's going to have to do something special. He's a good sprinter, Nathan Haas, and it looks like he's coming out fighting in the year 2014. He gets the Skoda money at the end of the 5th circuit.
Very easily, but what he has to do now is continue to work and consolidate on that advantage. Still, the main field spread right out across the open road. I think we'll see a couple of teams combine together if that breakaway starts to establish, because I do believe that Argos Shimano could have a crack at the victory as well, because their man Marcel Kittel, who won 4 stages of the Tour de France, to open up his bank account in Australia.
Second over the line, Luca Wackerman of the Lampre team. He's on the pink shirt at the back on the left side of our picture. And the other one is Axel Domon who is on the AG2R with his mouth wide open at the moment, taking in some hot air around the circuit. The winner of the sprint, Nathan Haas. An Australian indeed, from Victoria, which is about 900 kilometres, about 600 miles away from where we are in Adelaide. As they continue now, trying to get 3 men working clear at the moment: Haas, Wackerman and Domon. Well, they're all working pretty well. Nathan Haas is 1:33. It's Axel Domon, good name for a cyclist, Axel Paul, and he's in second place for AG2R La Mondiale. A French team which has been totally in support of this race since inception and has provided us with the overall winner in the past in second place there.
It's always been an aggressive team, but I think their thoughts are much further down the road once we get out onto the open roads. But it's always good to have a man in the breakaway, because that takes a little bit of responsibility away from the team. Riding across the gap now, one of the riders from FDJ is trying to get himself into this little move. And that is number 116, and that's Anthony Roux. Specialist of the breakaway when we come to the big races we follow later on in the year, especially when we race in France.
So Anthony Roux, the Frenchman, FDJ, just hitched up now in that light blue jersey. Now that's 4 big teams here, putting men out front. And so that is leaving 16 teams to take up the chase, because bet your life these riders with their teammates back there will expect them to try and hinder any counter move. These boys, Paul, are working so quickly they can hardly help each other here. There's huge gaps between the wheels.
Well, it's such a fast course here, Phil, and apart from the final 2 left-hand bends inside of the final kilometre, they hardly have to touch the brakes at all, which is why there's a little bit of touch of wheels there, and there's a few people in the crowd have got themselves a close-up view of many of the professional riders in this race.
A couple of Tinkoff Saxo riders on the left there. Christopher Jules of Denmark was the one that sat on the road, and also a teammate of AG2R here. That is Maxime Daniel, who's on the road. Jonathan Cantwell caught up.
Well, just a brief explanation of the rules. If you have a mechanical or a crash like this in the early part of the race, you're allowed to take a lap out up until 5 laps to go. But you can see the way that rider there from FDJ went around that corner, Phil. He was taking a few risks, and in fact he locked up his wheel. It jumped a little bit, but that has put a few gaps between this leading group of 4 riders. There's Anthony Roux in that pale blue jersey there. He realizes this is a good opportunity to build on the breakaway.
Yeah, but as you say, he almost clipped the side of that barrier there in his excitement, and he's followed by Nathan Haas, the Lamprey rider, Wackerman, Anthony Roux. The 4 riders are clear, and perhaps aided a little bit by the disruption. They will know there's been an accident when they come round, because they're going to see the riders involved in the accident taking advantage of the lap-out rule, which, by the way, doesn't apply towards the end of the race. But then they'll see them standing on the road. Let's have another look at this. You'll hear the touch. There's the touch. As maybe a pedal on the road.
In fact, it's right up towards the front end of the main field, and the rider who went down first of all there, Phil, in fact, was Simon Gesker, the rider from Giant Shimano. It looked like he crashed, and then all of a sudden it created a domino effect. That's a little bit of panic of the first race of the year. Riders taking risks to be in a good position going around the corner. Then all of a sudden, especially on a circuit like this with the barriers, that there is no exit route.
Well, let's hope that that's the worst we see of the crashes. Touch of wheels or a pedal hit the ground there as they try to pedal around the corner. And that's exactly what happened in the Criterium Championships with the Dracup riders, trying to pedal around a sharp bend, hitting the ground and taking out all the riders around him. These are the 4 men who have established the lead at the moment. Nathan Haas is 1-3-3, Axel Domon, Luca Wackerman and Anthony Roux.
Is the year, is the channel, and this is what's coming up.
Everyone ready?
How would you figure out this problem?
Sure you want to do this?
You have a problem with that?
What are you expecting to happen?
Are you seeing anything interesting?
In 2014, National Geographic Channel wants to entertain your brain with smart, slick, and bold programming.
I'll prove it to you.
This is what I'm talking about!
The stage is set. It's showtime.
From the mind-boggling to the life-affirming,
This is an adrenaline rush.
we want to inspire and surprise you. in a year of TV enlightenment that'll blow your mind.
We can take you on a ride you'll never forget.
2014 on National Geographic Channel.
Hey, what's your name? Egg. That's a beautiful name.
Have a fling with a cream egg!
From Academy Award winners Joel and Ethan Coen, the creators of No Country for Old Men and True Grit.
Folk singer with a cat. Is that part of your act? Every time you play a C major, he'd puke a hairball?
Comes a film that is heartfelt and utterly enthralling. A perfectly pitched masterpiece. The best film of the year.
Do you ever think about the future at all?
You mean like flying cars?
Inside Llewyn Davis, in cinemas January 24.
Honestly, times are tough. So I wasn't going to get tablets for everyone, but then I saw the new Windows tablet. It's got the familiar desktop, USB port, and it runs full office. It's a tablet that works for work. Plus, it's got apps, like Xbox games and Halo. For after hours, of course. I just couldn't come up with a reason not to buy them.
Take home Rush and get ready for a thrill ride. It's an adrenaline-fueled triumph.
I'm quicker than all of you.
And let's race. Rush, available January 27.
I'm James Reed, and you hate Mondays because you hate your job. Follow me. You should be a fireman. Accountant, radiologist, snake charmer, you two to beard.
Gary.
Electro-funk DJ. And Alan, you should be a frogman. I love frogs. I know. What a stunning goal! Berahino. Oh, he's got it in!
Ford Monday Night Football. Tomorrow, live only on Sky Sports.
Welcome back to highlights of the People's Classic Criterium race in Adelaide, the traditional prelude to the Tour Down Under. A relatively inoffensive turn caused some problems in lap 6. Guy Gilbert's undercut that line by one. Obviously the team putting the pedals down right from the off this year. Paul Sherwin and Phil Liggett are your commentators.
These boys are not chasing down these four at the moment. They're trying to take the pressure off themselves by allowing the fish to run. Hard work being done just at the minute by Luca Vackerman.
They're still doing an awful lot of work at the side of the road, the ambulance, and they do a great job, the support crew in the Santos Tour Down Under and this race here as well, the People's Choice Classic, looking after the riders, keeping the riders nice and safe out on the open road. The lucky VIPs there have got a great place to watch the race here and watch this race go round at 25 times, but it's the last 4 or 5 laps when the speed will start to kick up to that 50 km/h average speed. Currently it's sitting on 45 kilometers, and these 4 riders are working exceptionally well together.
Well, the end of this lap is our second sprint. No points, just cash for this, the Europe car sprint. Sprint number 2 as Vackerman continues to make the move. He's a man that's never yet ridden any Grand Tours. He's a fairly new pro. He's only 21 years of age, Luca Vackerman, and he's been with this team since he turned professional. He joined the team as a trainee back in 2012. There's the names for you. I'm talking about Luca Vackerman of Lampre.
Yes, that's the rider there in the blue and pink sleeves on his jersey. So just looking at the organisation, just sitting on the back there, wearing number 133 is Nathan Haas, a very aggressive rider, and I think very happy to be on this Garmin Sharp team, which could almost be an Australian squad. They've got so many Australian riders on the Garmin Sharp team, which is a big team on the international circuit.
So still the same 4. They got away just before the crash. They got clear on lap number 5, these 4 riders. The last man to join in the chase was Anthony Roux of FDJ.fr. And now we've got, not surprisingly, Lotto guarding the front end of the race, because they're thinking of that man in white there, which is Andre Greipel. They're holding this race in the sights. They don't want to chase it down. Once you catch the breakaway, others will start to attack. So it's not the chase yet.
Not yet, but what's interesting, over to the inside of the track, you can see a lot of black and blue jerseys there of Team Sky. Now they're riding in a very compact position. They've got a great sprinter in their team as well, in the shape of Chris Sutton. And maybe tonight they're going to try and set up that sprint for Sutton, who in the past has had some pretty serious success in this race. He had got the victory for his own teammate a couple of years ago when he was leading out the Kiwi rider, who was a big lead-out man for Andre Greipel, and hasn't managed to get to the race here this year because of an accident.
Yeah, Greg Henderson is injured at the moment, but he'll be watching this with great interest. He lives here in Australia, though he is a Kiwi, and he lives over in St Kilda in Victoria near Melbourne. There's an example of the crowd here. They're still working very, very well together. They may not chase the points here or the small prize at the end of this Europe car sprint, but Wackerman is anxious to drive it on. We're getting a good view of this young man from Italy. Oh, there's the bell this time, so they're giving it at the end of the next lap, which we'll make at the end of lap number 11. But anyway, that's the bell, so it's 1 lap to go to the sprint.
Yep. Still lots of organisation. Number 75 just quite happy to come through. Axel Daumont of France. All French riders come here with the AG2R La Mondiale. They've won this race in the past. They're always a very aggressive team when they get out onto the open road. And that's Wackerman now coming forward from Team Lamprey in the blue and pink jersey. Quite happy to keep forcing the pace. They realise if they want to win this race, if they want to break the stranglehold of the sprinters, they need to have at least a 1-minute advantage coming into the last 4 or 5 laps of this race, which is why they're all quite happy to participate in the pacemaking.
Roux is the man last to join the foursome, and happy to do his share of the work. He's the blue jersey swinging off. Nathan Haas brings it through, looking pretty cool. Then followed by Axel Daumont of AG2R, and then Wackerman. Wackerman's never won a race, by the way, but it's a good day to start as he gets into that breakaway. He's only a young rider. Nice sweeping roads, good road surface here as well. Very fast surface indeed. Most of the continental riders arriving here have been here for a week now to acclimatise. They've been also beaten down by some very, very hot temperatures. In Fahrenheit, over 110 degrees. In Celsius, we hit the hottest city in the world last week at 46 degrees Celsius. So they were glad to stay indoors for most of the day.
But none of the riders are too concerned now about the fact that the long-range weather forecast is ideal racing conditions inside of 30 degrees Celsius. Not too much to worry about when we think about the big gusty winds that came out a couple of days away to blow most of the clouds away. The 4-man leading group are still hanging on to that 30-second advantage, but there's a lot of teams starting to queue up near the front, and especially Argos Shimano, who seem to be quite ready to hand over a little bit of assistance to Team Lotto Belisol if this breakaway starts to look dangerous inside of the last 10 laps of racing.
Now, Haas missed a turn there, and he was the winner of the first sprint, the Skoda sprint. This is the Europe car sprint coming up, and he didn't earn too much adoration from Anthony Roux there, who's now looking over his shoulder straight at Haas, who doesn't want to go, and they've looked the wrong way first because it's Daumont who's gone early for the bend. This might be where the winner needs to hit the corner too when it comes to the final sprint, but look at the gap he's opened with a great acceleration. But it looks to me as though Wackerman is getting into his stride. So too is Nathan Haas. Is going over the top, and the Australians on fire for Garmin Sharp. It's going to be 2 out of 2 for Haas this time around. As he hits the line, he wins the Europe car sprint. Well, they're obviously not sharing the prizes in this case.
Certainly no friendship lost at all there, and that just gives you an indication of what it's going to be like when the sprinters come into that final lap with what, about half an hour of racing to go, and Nathan Haas getting that very, very easily. Never panicked at all, did he, Phil, when he saw that first acceleration come? He waited for Wackerman to nail down the gap a little bit, stayed in the slipstream, and just like you would in a car race, he waited to catapult himself out of the slipstream of the rider in front. Just watch this. There's no panic at all. It's the rider in the blue jersey that closes down the initial acceleration, but look at the rider in third place. No panic at all. Sits there in the slipstream, then just waits to catapult out of it.
Yes, and that's a dress rehearsal maybe for the finish of this race off that last bend as well. Anthony Roux going across in second place.
I want Henry's phones logged.
You mean bugged? I've got to know what I'm dodging.
Harry Shearer stars in the new series Nixon's the One. Starts Thursday the 30th of January at 9 on Sky Arts 1 HD.
Oh, what a beautiful
98% of people could save with us and feel as free as Bill. Bill, you're so money supermarket.
What is the point of designing a beautiful car if no one can afford to run it? With Just Add Fuel, you can drive away a new Peugeot 208 with 3 years insurance and your other key driving overheads for a fixed monthly amount. New Peugeot. Still affordable.
Hello. Can I see your passports, please? Just the one bag to check in? Yes.
Is the flight full?
It's quite full today.
Thank you.
Like getting your money's worth? Try the £1.9 sweet chili mayo chicken or the £1.49 chicken BLC. New to the Saver menu.
And after a scintillating innings, the batsman nears his century. That's absolutely splendid. I say, a streaker and a rozzer. Goodness me, what a chase. I wonder if the rozzers will catch up with them. And what about this? I say, that's much better, isn't it? And what a shot. Oh, and he's hit the streaker. My goodness, here, boot. And says wing, right?
As a Sky TV customer, you get the stars of the red carpet in award-winning, critically acclaimed, talked-about TV shows on Sky Atlantic, all at no extra cost. That's the Sky difference.
Let's start again, shall we? Hi, I'm Stella.
Have you met my mum?
When did you last buy new pants, Al?
She's had her tough times.
Really drew the short straw getting you as a neighbour, didn't I?
Not as short as my straw.
But now she's back on form.
Fantastic!
And ready for anything.
I keep having all these horny dreams. I got it all going on, Prash.
The brand new series of Stella starts Friday at 9 on Sky 1 HD, or watch it now on demand.
Every stage of the Tour Down Under is live here on Sky Sports, starting at 2 AM on Tuesday morning on Sky Sports 1. As well as the live action, we'll have exclusive interviews with Team Sky from their training camp in Mallorca, including Sir Dave Brailsford, who gave us his thoughts ahead of the season opener in Adelaide.
It's a tough race. It's interesting. So there are certain guys who will already be quite well ahead in their fitness, who will really target the very early season, big season opener down in Adelaide. The heat's an issue. We've seen it, I think, in the tennis, but also over in Adelaide. They've been training in 46 degrees temperature, which is a real killer. So I think the heat will play a factor. So we've got the Australians who've been had some racing already, so they're always good at this time of the year. But there are World Tour points, very precious World Tour points up for grabs. So every team takes it seriously now, and we'd like to think that we can get on the podium and be fighting there for the win.
And you can hear the full interview on Tuesday morning. Back to People's Classic Criterium race now, though.
All the teams are getting themselves organised because every time it appears to slow down a fraction, you've got the black and white jersey Giant Shimmer coming forward as well. What a battle it would be if we see the Marcel Kittel 4-stage victories in the Tour de France last year coming up against Andre Greipel.
Well, you mentioned his name, and that's about the first time we've mentioned him so far, because we haven't seen him in the race and sprinters try to hide. Greipel is very proud of his reputation here in South Australia. He's won this race 3 times in the past. He's made it quite obvious he's up for tonight, because all those riders in the red jersey are his teammates. He's the one going through in the white jersey as champion of Germany, and he's got them all marshalled well.
But you know, the amazing thing about this Giant Shimano team, it's a team that's developed over many, many years to bring themselves right up to the top end of the sport of professional cycling. And now they've got themselves, what I would have to say, apart from the Lotto Belisol squad, Phil, the Giant Shimano lead-out train is a very well-drilled and organised squad.
And that might prove crucial tonight. Now the gap was 31 seconds. It's down to 24 seconds at the moment. So we might well catch a glimpse. The one thing about this course in comparison to the one we used to use up on the terraces, not too far away from where this race route is that you can't see the riders chasing it because they keep going around corners. And that's the advantage of the breakaway.
It is a big advantage to the breakaway. These are sweeping bends now, and it's only the final two bends inside of the last kilometre, which I would say are rather technical. But these riders, again, continuing to keep themselves nice and organised. No passengers in this leading group of 4 riders as they hover on that 20-second advantage over the main field. 11 laps to go, and in 1 lap time there will be another sprint. And I wonder whether or not that's going to go back down to Nathan Haas again.
Well, we'll find out. Axel Domont, the rider on AG2R on the front, and the youngster making his way through. He turned pro as a trainee for the French team, AG2R Le Mondial. He's the rider at the back here, and he's been with this team throughout his career. He's yet to get his crack at the first Grand Tour. The Grand Tour, by the way, there are 3 of them, and they're the most famous races in the world. The Tour of Italy, Spain, and France.
And interestingly enough, in fact, Cadel Evans returning to this race for the first time since 2010, when he was actually the world champion. And I think in the back of his mind, he's nurturing thoughts of trying to win this race, because it's actually changed the event since Cadel Evans came those couple of years ago, because there's a hilltop finish, and that might actually slip into the kind of race that would suit a man like Cadel Evans, who obviously, to finish second in the national championships just a week ago, has got the form, because in that event he didn't have any support troops around him. Here he's got a very strong and dedicated BMC squad.
Absolutely. You could just catch the relationship there as we came over the Torrens. With that left-hand bend, that the peloton are closing in here, Paul. They're closing in quite quickly just at the moment. They'll take encouragement. We should see them come around that bottom. Perhaps not 20 seconds, 17 seconds officially. As Domont sets the pace here. His only pro team is AG2R, Française de Jeu, Anthony Roux coming through, followed by Nathan Haas. Here comes the cavalry, led by Giant Shimano. We should take note of that, because that's the team of Marcel Kittel, the 4-time stage winner in last year's Tour de France, the big sprinter.
Yes, all the teams very, very organised. There on the left-hand side, you can see the black jersey, the black helmets with the blue stripe down the middle. That's Team Sky, the team of Richie Porte, thinking of probably winning the Santos Tour Down Under overall, but tonight probably riding as a teammate, looking after his Australian compatriot Chris Sutton. Well, as they come into the sprint lap, in fact, Nathan Haas here has decided to go for a very long one. He's caught everyone else there, Phil, unawares.
Well, I'm amazed. He's gone early this time, and this time I think he may have a problem with Domont. No, he's not going to have a problem. This is the corner. Good move. He caught them off guard, but can he hold it? It's still a fair way up here, about 150 metres to the line. Domont's quite close, so too is Wackerman. But I tell you what, Nathan Haas has been doing his sprint training over in Victoria, because he's gone clear of them by an awful long way. 3 out of 3 for Nathan Haas.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, the funny thing is the camera very often foreshortens everything, and it looked as if those riders were right in his slipstream, but there is no photo there at all. That's very easily 3 out of 3 for Nathan Haas. He's got that one in the bag as well. But what happened there, just coming into that final sprint, it actually took down a little bit of the momentum and the impetus out of that breakaway group. And I think next time we get an official time check, we could very well be hovering around the 15-second mark, which is not much more than around about 200 metres advantage.
Well, those 3 professionals are going to feel their feathers a little bit ruffled here by the Australian, who's performing in front of his home crowd. That's as far as Australia goes, of course. He's not a South Australian, and those people, sports lovers in Australia, they love to represent the area they come from, be it Victoria, South Australia, Northern Territories, Western Australia, New South Wales, or the ACT, which is the capital state of Australia. Great sportsmanship, and he's taken all 3 sprints. I don't think I've ever recalled that being done in this People's Choice Classic throughout its history. So 4 men still clear, the gap 17 seconds.
This
This one is going right to the wire.
There's a story going on at every club.
We can go and get targets.
We have the possibility to sell him.
They've broken their transfer record.
Nearly £40 million spent.
So much business done so late on.
At last, that big signing they all want.
Harry, come and join us.
Maybe we'll have a good surprise for you.
Frantic end to the transfer window. Heads down all the way through to 11 o'clock.
This is an invitation.
Xbox on.
To a new generation, where your games and entertainment
Xbox answer.
Yeah!
are together in one. The all-in-one Xbox One.
With Sky TV, you get the UK's widest range of catch-up channels. So if you miss a show because you're out, or you're busy, you can unmiss it at no extra cost. That's the Sky difference.
Honestly, it's not easy working in a place like this. But now, I've got this new Surface. Economy size, but fit for first class. There's a touch screen, new windows, and it also runs Office. It handles my old stuff, and I've got apps like Flipboard or Xbox videos to look forward to. That means I can get work done, then kick back and relax. Or do both at the same time. Great for when things are getting cozy.
I think how I socialise has changed in recent years. It tends to be more dinner parties and nights in with friends, which is great, but it makes it harder to meet somebody new.
Match gives you an opportunity to talk to people that you never would normally have a chance to talk to.
It allows you to take control of your own situation.
Tonight I'm meeting James. He seems like a really nice person. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting him.
Match.com, where it starts. Join free today.
Take home Rush and get ready for a thrill ride.
I'm quicker than all of you, and let's race.
Rush, available January 27.
I'm going to have a Mighty Bucket for one. How about you?
It's okay. I'll just have some of yours.
Okay, I really like you, but it's a Mighty Bucket for one. You can have your own if you want. Now, I will share a romantic walk with you. I will even share my innermost thoughts, but my food... Nah.
With 2 pieces of original recipe chicken, hot wings, mini fillets, fries and a drink, the KFC Mighty Bucket for one ain't for sharing. Oh.
Where do I begin to tell the story of how great a love can be?
Perfect.
Where do I start?
The name's Fleming.
New drama coming soon on Sky Atlantic HD.
Two riders coming across now. Big efforts here by AG2R to make contact. It could be Damien Gaudin who's coming up behind Heyman at the moment. Maybe we'll find out here.
Well, they're not really straight. Look at this, Phil. It is Sky on the front end of the main field. They're taking this very, very seriously indeed. And that's Geraint Thomas, who's the first rider of the line of Sky riders. They're obviously trying to set this up for Chris Sutton. They've got a great lead-out man for Sutton this afternoon as well, because they've got Bernie Eisel, who is riding in front of Sutton. Now, that would be a bit of a surprise, because we've been talking about Marcel Kittel, talking about Andre Greipel. We've discounted a little bit the charge of Chris Sutton, who likes a circuit race like this. That's Geraint Thomas on the front. You can see the Union flag on his sleeve there, indicating a former national champion of Great Britain. And in third position, Ian Stannard, another former British champion too.
Well, Sutton's been close in this event before. And Sky have been very dominant leading into the line, but not delivering the winner. But right now, that's the plan. It's the Welshman, Geraint Thomas, on the front now. People have mentioned his name, connected with a likely win in the Santos Tour Down Under when we get back next Sunday. He's got good form. He spent a lot of his time racing and training in South Africa before Christmas. Seems to wander everywhere around the world, but he keeps himself in top condition. He takes them around the corner. All the boys in black. There's been an eclipse.
Well, he was the winner of the second stage of the Santos Tour Down Under last year. And I have to say that I thought he was looking very, very solid as a possible winner of this bike race. Only one problem for him was something called Wollonga Hill, which came up and smacked him right in the face on the penultimate day. However, I think he wants to put his track career behind it, because we're looking at an Olympic gold medalist here on the front of the main field from the Olympic Games in London. Yep. And now he's slimmed off of between 5 and 6 kilos his track ring days and got himself down to a very fit professional rider for a dedicated career to road racing.
Now take a look at the formation at the front now. People not understanding starting things, just a bunch of bike riders going around in circles, but the tactics being fought out. The boys in black are trying to lead. The last man around the corner in black is Chris Sutton. He is the rider they're trying to guide to the line. Andre Greipel's team are all the riders in the red jerseys looking to lead their man in white to the line. On the left, the black and white colours of Giant Shimano are now trying to lead their man, which is Marcel Kittel, and the 3 top teams. Was there a touch of wheels there? No. 3 top teams are looking now to try and take their 3 top sprinters to the line. Lap 20 or 25.
Well, up until now, Phil, we've been looking at an average speed of about 45 to 46 kilometres an hour. We're now getting into the more crucial part of this race. The average speed will be in excess of 50 kilometres an hour as Team Sky continue to keep the pace nice and high. The reason they're doing this is they don't want the confusion of Chris Sutton getting bumped and barged in the main field. Yeah. He can ride up to the front. He's cruising around there. But look at the other teams of the sprinters. Lotto Belisol in the second row, if you like, if we were talking rugby. They're waiting to take over the race at the front end of the main field. If they were to falter, the other team that would like to take up the pacemaking is Argos Shimano. They're in the black and white jerseys. They're in the third row, just waiting to take over as well.
So it's Team Sky, Argos Shimano, or it's Giant Shimano now. They changed the name this year, and also Lotto Belisol. Those are the riders trying to get the sprinters now to the finishing line in 5 laps time. These boys are thinking now of getting their man Chris Sutton to the line in first place, as Diagonal went across at the head of the race. So there was no sprint there really, but you get the money nonetheless. We're on lap 21 now of 25.
Well, when you look at the riders that went across the finishing line there, Phil, the first 5 positions taken up by Team Sky. Diagon of Sky, followed by Geraint Thomas, Ian Stannard, Bernie Eisel and Luke Rowe. Then after that, there's an awful lot of riders from Lotto Belisol. Stig Brooks was up there. Adam Hansen tonight, I think the Australian will be turning the books around and trying to do a little bit of a favour for his man, Andre Greipel, because I think Adam Hansen is nurturing thoughts of a good ride in the Santos Tour Down Under overall.
Just look at the power of this young Welshman here, Geraint Thomas. He is an amazing rider, the way he sits on the front there. And he just wipes his... That's Ian Stannard who's wiped his face there, back in 3rd place now. And it looks like Geraint's dropped back just 1 notch for the moment. He's happy to do that just now. But he is such a powerful little bike rider. Bernie Eisel, the big man, having a chat to the left with Ian Stannard's trying to advise on how they're taking this race towards the line now, because Chris Sutton's being kept out of trouble. Chris just over the back of the man with the little goatee. That's Chris Sutton behind Bernie Eisel. On the left now, watch out, because the big man of those boys in black and white at the back is Marcel Kittel, the big sprinter. And you can feel the atmosphere now, can't you, Paul? These boys are getting pretty excited.
They certainly are. It's a big battle now of supremacy. They're trying to throw down the gauntlet to say, look, my lead-out team is much stronger than yours. It really is now becoming a psychological battle between these teams. And the teams like Lotto Belisol, they're playing a little bit of a waiting game there, Phil, waiting for the moment when they want to pick the pace up, and you'll see 4 or 5 riders in the red and white jerseys come to the front end of the main field. Bernie Eisel, the rider you were just talking about, though, he's the tactician on the road. He's the man who's helped Mark Cavendish win a lot of races when Mark Cavendish used to ride for this team. That's Bernie Eisel looking around all of the time there just to see the position of his teammate behind him. He wants to make sure that Chris Sutton's in the right place. And look at the average speed now, starting to creep up to that 50 kilometre an hour mark.
We're on lap 23 of 25 just at the moment. which means we're about 6 kilometres or so from the finish. Geraint Thomas at the front now, trying to take control, as he has been for the last couple of laps for Team Sky.
Yes, an Olympic gold medalist just 2 years ago in London, as he sits on the front end of the main field. Behind him, it's Stannard. At the back of that line of Sky riders, just waiting in the slipstream, is Chris Sutton. But all of the other sprinters now starting to queue up behind the Sky lead-out train there, as they now wait for their turn to take over the supremacy. That white jersey at the back end of the riders in the red jerseys, that's Andre Greipel, just sitting there calm. It's like he's playing a game of poker, just waiting for the moment to play that winning hand.
The speed at the front now is such that the peloton behind can only follow just now, and so it's really at the moment a 3-race battle here. The black of Sky, the red of Lotto Belisol, and the black and white of the team of Marcel Kittel. Average speed holding at 47.7 now. That's based on the leaders. Geraint Thomas took them out on the next lap, followed by Ian Stannard, Bernard Eisel, Luke Rowe. These are the boys of Sky.
But watch out for Diego Ulissi, the rider from Team Lampre there in the blue and pink jersey there, because he's a 2-time world junior road racing champion. He can come out of the pack and create a little bit of a surprise this afternoon for some of these sprinters. But I'll tell you one thing, Team Sky really have things under control.
2.5 laps left to go now as Team Sky desperate. They're running out. 1 or 2 riders have disappeared from the Team Sky at the front. Just take a look at these faces now. This is a huge effort. The boys in red are monitoring the affairs and always keeping an eye on their white jersey, Greipel. And just behind them, we've got the other man, the big man, Marcel Kittel. And believe me, we're only talking about 3 sprinters because these are the 3 teams who look to be dictating affairs. But there are other very, very fast finishers in this race, not too far behind.
Well, I'll tell you what, the red and white Lotto Belisol just waiting to get the nod. Do we start to turn up the cranks just yet? 2 laps to go when they hit the line this time. And I think we'll now start to see a changing of the guard at the front. Well, it's still Geraint Thomas with the Union flag on his shoulders. Look at that concentration on his face. Once he starts to falter, once his pace starts to drop a little bit, Ian Stannard will come by. The pace is very, very high now. Over on the left-hand side, you can see Giant Shimano. Everybody's waiting for the moment to take control of this race.
Well, this is most interesting. They're also trying to get Caleb Ewan into this, the 19-year-old, the youngster who hasn't really got a strong team as the strength of these World Tour teams to take him to the line. And Caleb may have to find he's going to have to dodge in and out of the wheels of the bigger names to see what he can do, as Robbie McEwen used to do in his day.
Now it's Lotto Belisol. They've seen this is the moment as they come up. The next time they come up to the line field, they'll hear the bell. 1 lap to go. And at the back end of that line of Lotto Belisol is now Andre Greipel. Onto Greipel's wheel is Chris Sutton, just holding to the back end of the German, hoping to use the advantage of that. Ian Stannard is right up there as well. Bernie Eisel over to the left-hand side. But this is the way Lotto Belisol have succeeded so many times at getting Andre Greipel the victory.
Is this how you do it on lap 24 of 25? They've watched Team Sky do all of the work for 5 laps. And now they've put the man we always call the gorilla in that white jersey in 5th wheel behind 4 teammates. He's called the Lotto team to the front, and they will now sell themselves one by one and hope to deliver Greipel to the line. But Sky are not out of this by any manner of means, and neither is Marcel Kittel, because Kittel has got about 2 places behind Greipel.
They're all now going to queue up for the back wheel of Andre Greipel. There he is, number 31, Marcel Seberg in 2nd position there. They're all looking over their shoulders. Lotto Belisol, they know now is the moment. They cannot falter. They want to deliver their man Andre Greipel into the ideal position if they can. There's going to be 1 lap to go. Once they come up to the line now, Phil, it's going to be the bell.
Bell at this time, and it is Lotto Belisol who brings them up towards the line now. It's Adam Hansen of Queensland who was driving at the front, as I think he still is actually, as he crouches. Well, time to tell Adam his mum's in the crowd from Queensland watching him, so turn on the style for her as now the bell goes. Hansen starts, everybody's head starts to twitch. Marcel Kittel shouts at his teammates to start to take him through, and there the boys in black and white. Greipel grits his teeth on the right in white, and Team Sky have lost control now at the moment. Chris Sutton is having to fend for himself. He's looking for the wheel of Greipel as it's now a full out. Look at the average speed has shot up after that last lap. 52.6 kilometers an hour now. They're just going to be home just over the 1 hour of racing today. That's an incredible speed. Now, riders have done their turn. These are the riders we often call the domestiques of the team, the workhorses, the men that give their all, don't win the race, but hope that when they move over, their team captain wins the race. They all share the money. It doesn't matter. They're professional. And Lotto are now down to 3 riders to look after Andre Greipel. Hansen Seberg, de Boucher, and Jürgen Rollens were there. One of them's dropped away at the moment. Greipel is in position. Chris Sutton has locked in onto his back wheel and hope he can pull something off. Chris hasn't won a race since he won in Wollongong in New South Wales, south of Sydney, in 2011. Time he came back for a victory here. 2 riders left. Is he running out of riders too quickly here? Greipel's now on 3rd wheel. He still needs a lead-out man. This boy on the front is going to have to go for as long as he possibly can here. It's Jens de Boucher. Jens rather, de Boucher, taking that corner flat out and very wide. Some of the riders on the tail of the peloton. Moving up on the outside is Jürgen Rollens now. He's the last man. Greipel's on his own after this. It's still a long way to go. He doesn't want to take the run just yet. Caleb Ewan, the 19-year-old, is into 3rd wheel here, and watch him on the barriers. He's going to get squashed out a little bit. This could be a huge surprise. He's a fast finisher. Rollens opens up the sprint. Greipel goes. Ewan follows him, but he's a little bit too quick, Greipel, at the moment, as Marcel Kittel comes up on the right-hand side, but the gorilla is fighting for the line here. He's going to make it. It's Kittel who gets it on the line. Greipel is 2nd. Caleb Ewan crosses 3rd, and Chris Sutton, I think, was in 4th place there. But there's no doubt Marcel Kittel has opened up his campaign in 2014 the way he finished 2013. The 4 times winner in the Tour de France. Watch this again. Caleb Ewan was the white striped jersey on the right. He ran up on the barriers there. He had to go round the long way. Jürgen Rollens opened up the running. Greipel then, it was some familiar acceleration that's given 3 victories in this race. But look at the speed of Marcel Kittel. This superstar of German sprinting hits the line, half a length up on the line. Greipel is 2nd, and Caleb Ewan, in his first debut against the creme de la creme of world cycling at 19 years of age, is across the line in 3rd place. And it was Sutton there in 4th. Absolutely wonderful ride. Let's see if we can show you on the photo. Not that far at all, was it? It was a 1/4 of a wheel, half a wheel. But Marcel Kittel has done it, and he's going to be pretty pleased about that.
So Marcel Kittel strikes first in the great German sprint battle in Australia. He had too much for Andre Greipel at the end. A massive finish from Caleb Ewan pleased the home crowd and announced his arrival on the world stage. He completed the podium. A courageous finish too from Chris Sutton, finishing 4th despite his early race tumble. Other notable sprinters starting their season in the top 10 were Mark Renshaw and Elia Viviani. And there was a fine first outing in Team Sky colours for Philip Dignan, who won the intermediate sprint.
Well, Marcel Kittel, it's always a little bit complicated, the first sprint of the season. It looked like it was going to Team Sky, then to Team Lotto Belisol, but at the end of the day, your guys got it right.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the boys. They did a great job, I have to say. A big thank you. We had immediately a very good feeling for the whole track, for the lead out in the end, and it was a great team effort and a perfect start into the new season.
We're floating on the River Torrens with the Finnish podium tonight, and there he is, Marcel Kittel, enjoying the winner's jersey today. Of course, from Tuesday onwards, they'll be chasing an ochre jersey as leader of the Santos Tordana.
The sun sets then on the first race of the new cycling season. Orla Chenaway is out in Adelaide. She'll be reporting for us from there all week.
That's it, the first race of the season done and dusted, and it feels like there's a real change of the guards with Marcel Kittel showing the same form that he did in last season. But Team Sky really put in a sterling effort. I'm joined by a few of the guys now. Geraint Thomas, first of all. Talk me through that race. You all dominated the last couple of laps. How was that?
Yeah, that was part of the plan all along. We knew CJ could get up there in the sprint, so we just wanted to keep him out of trouble. And you know, for myself, Richie, Phil, you know, we just wanted to be at the front, and, or in Richie's case, right at the back. But no, it was just about staying safe, and so either at the front or at the back. And yeah, so we rode on the front with maybe 8 to go till about, I'm not sure actually. I couldn't even see the lap board by the end, but yeah, it was. It all went to plan really, and CJ couldn't quite finish off at the end, but yeah, a good day out.
You talk about staying safe, but CJ was caught up in that crash, wasn't he?
Yeah. This race is always a bit dodgy. You know, first race of the year, everyone wants to get up there. There's a lot of sprinters here, a lot of people that want to prove themselves. So yeah, it was just one of those crashes right at the front as well, actually. So, but yeah, fortunately he was okay, got back up, and yeah, all good in the end.
And Richie, this is the curtain raiser for the season. A big season for you if things go according to plan. What are you expecting from this week?
Yeah, I mean that was hard and quite fast, but from where I was sitting, the guys were very impressive. I was sitting at the back watching on the big screen, so they looked good. But I mean, for me this week was, you know, to get through tonight unscathed. There's a couple of crashes there, and now the race starts from Tuesday onwards. So more looking forward to that.
And so, do you have any big ambitions for this week, or is it about getting the legs warmed up in race time?
Yeah, I mean, for sure I have big ambitions. I read a quote, "We're not here to cut hair," and I mean, that for us guys, that's how it is. We're here to race and, you know, bring on the corkscrew stage, which Geraint won last year, and then Willunga. I think, you know, we can really shake it up.
These guys are clearly up for a big week of racing. They've got a rest day on Monday, and then the Tour Down Under gets underway proper on Tuesday.
That's right, Orla. We have live coverage of every stage here on Sky Sports from Tuesday through to Sunday. Set the alarm clocks, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Watch all 6 Sky Sports channels on your mobile and online.
Monday Night Football, West Brom take on Everton, Sky Sports 1 at 7. Tomorrow, live netball, England face New Zealand from 7 on Sky Sports 2. And Tuesday morning, live cycling, the Tour Down Under on Sky Sports